So, let's make a kidney here. It is possible from this side. Here's what happens. Further, we will need to attach a twig. Now we will look at which one. Probably this one after all. How are we going to fix it? I'll attach it so that the twig looks lying on the table. Because if it sticks out too much, then it will look ugly on the photo frame. We'll have to fix it like this. It was possible initially not to make this trunk small at all. You may fasten flowers and leaves with the trunk. Here, this is how anyone wants to do it. I think it's better that way. Then we'll attach it like this. Probably we'll retreat a little lower. Now we will look at the frame. Since my frame is small, I need to navigate, that all my flowers fit. My flowers are large. So, if you do it like this, or like this, since there is still a pentacle, which will be below, probably we will omit it. Therefore, then we need to make a longer trunk again. So, we do it further. So we need to continue the trunk. All the same, it's longer to do. For this I take clay again. And we will continue. We will extend slightly. I'm gluing. So, I apply clay. I will extend it a little, dropping down. A longer branch is needed here. We remove the excess. Further, everything is the same absolutely. I take a napkin while the clay is still soft, and this place, which we just attached, I go through it like this with a napkin. I create a bark effect. So, at the junction of the clay. Now I will make it so that it is not visible and noticeable that we glued something. Since we do not wash with water, so that there is no perfect smoothness. So, here you can still do it. Here's what happens. It turns out here is such a twig. We will fix this pedicle here. What do we need to do? We will now bend it back a little. At a slight angle, like this. And let's try. You can leave it to dry, of course. Trunk, in order not to wrinkle it. Now I will try to do it carefully. So, I'll bend it even harder, so that you can screw it up better. We take the floristic tape. First, I'll screw it up here. So, and I attach the pentacle. Then I will bend it closer to the trunk. Now to screw it up better. So, we look. Let's take super glue. what will I do? I will apply super glue to the place of attachment, super gel on the floristic tape to make it stronger and better adhered. Here. I will grab onto it better. I raise a little. What effect do we need? So that the trunk is in this way. I squeeze it harder. We also wrap it with tape. I will lower it below. We wind the wire completely. So, we attach it. Hold on better and not stagger anything. So far, what are we doing? It turns out here is such a twig. So, this is the place we have passed it now. What should we do? Then we can lower the flowers deeper, closer to the trunk. But we will do this after complete drying. The effect. So, it's good that everything bends here because all the flowers are on the wire. Therefore, it's all much more convenient. Here's what happens. Here's a trunk. These are the pedicles. Here's now. So, well, it remains to attach another pedicle at the base. Right here. The twig will end here. Here we will run a little. And let's leave to dry so that we can continue our work later. It is better, of course, to do it in the intervals between joints to dry. At least a few hours. It is not necessary to leave several colors. A couple of hours have passed, it has set better and we will work better. There will be no fear that you will have to crush the excess. There will be no need to align. You can do this at intervals. You leave it to dry, then proceed with the assembly. I do it faster. I do not wait for complete drying. So, we dog this place and lower it a little. I put it down here. Here I smooth it with my fingers so that no errors are visible. So, now I take a napkin and do the same. I'm walking. There was a bark effect. Now you can take the stack and crush this place where the connection. I'll probably even take tweezers. Because the place between the joints, between the branches, the main branch, there are also irregularities as it were. The bark effect is more pronounced. So, now we will do it with you. Here's what happens. Then when we completely collect the twig, the pentacle, we will add some nuances for greater realism and to make it more cute. Here's what happens. such a twig. So, now if we try it onto the frame, then we need to roll it in approximately up to here with more clay. Here it dried up, lay down. We still need to make approximately 2 centimeters. So, I take clay and I will roll in a couple more centimeters and then I will attach the remaining pentacle. So it sticks. Rather, we coat it with glue. So, and I apply the clay gently with grasping movements. So, now I will try on the frame. Then, if that is better to cut, better to make it longer. At this distance, approximately. Look here. I repeat for those who don't know who a beginner is. The clay darkens as it dries. Fresh clay, and this is the one that has dried up. The color difference is visible, of course. It will become even darker. It will lie still a little, dry up, maybe darken a little more. So, what are we doing? We take a napkin. And again we do the same thing. We remember well. Create a bark effect. So, let's turn it over. We will do the same. Here and on the other side. We pressed. Now I take it again so that we smooth out the joints. You can make some irregularities here with tweezers. From this side. Here we will have a branch glued. Here we will do a little like this. I do the same thing here. Since here we have a pentacle that will block the branch, it will practically not be visible. Therefore, in principle, you can especially not do these buds. They need to be done in plain sight so that they can be seen. And here they are unlikely to be seen. Well, we'll leave it. What is necessary to do now? Leave it to dry a little. Here. And then I will attach the remaining pentacle close to it. Look how it will look. If you are doing just a branch without a frame, then the pentacles will be located differently, of course. Approximately at this angle. Here, these will already be additional branches. We do all this quite simply. They just sit at a slight angle. I will do it closely, naturally, so that it looks harmonious on the photo frame. Here's what happened. Like this. Let it dry. And then I'll screw and glue it. So, check if the branch is dry. The clay has dried out a little, not quite, but enough for it to be glued further. So, what do we need to do now? Now you need to do in this position to glue the third inflorescence. Here's what happens. It will be close to the main branch. Why am I doing this? So that you can stick to the photo frame so that it looks harmonious. Naturally, if you just make a separate branch, then the branch themselves, which go to the sides, will be at an angle. This can be seen from the photographs, let's say on the internet. There is a lot of detailed information there. So, what are we doing? Now I'll bend it a little so that you can screw it on. Next, let's return the previous form. We take the floristic tape and we tie it in. We also need glue. I apply joint to joint in the place where we ended, a little higher. So now we will compare on the frame so that it is not too long. It can be slightly higher. So, I take a little higher. I begin to reel carefully. Doesn't catch. I'll do a couple of turns and then glue it with super glue. So, I take super glue, bend it a little, coat it at the base and apply a branch so that it sticks to the clay. This way. The main thing is not to get your fingers dirty, otherwise it will be difficult to wash the glue later. I feel enough discomfort when the super glue is on the fingers. It is difficult to clean it. Latex adhesive, it is water soluble. It is easy to clean. It is easier than super glue. You will have to tinker with this later. So, I wrap it in order to keep it better. Then, when everything is dry, naturally we will cut all these wires. This will be a slightly different kind. I turn. I see what happens. I take a photo frame and I try again. I see what happens. The length is what we need. Then after drying, we will bend as we need. We will do the position of the branch by ourselves. The length suits me. Now you need to roll this place, the joint, with clay a little. I take clay again. Just a little bit. And latex glue. We coat this place on one side and on the other. I take the clay and begin to crush again with grasping movements. So, here. And here. You can take a stack and this is the place where the branches are attached. Walk a little like this with the stack. So, the napkin. We make such a pin tucks with tweezers in the place where the mount is. To make everything more natural, there were no abrupt transitions. Let's do it from the back side, although it won't be visible. It will already be glued to the frame. It doesn't matter. Better to do it at the side. It will be visible from the side, to make it more natural and alive. So, here's what happened. Now all this must be left to dry again, to dry the place. Let it dry up. What else do I want to do? Since the branch still looks straight. Straight in what place? I don't like this place. Just a straight stick. Basically, of course, there are such small buds at the end of the branches. Brown, small twigs like that. Now we'll make them too. How do we make them? Just small sausages and then we glue it here. It was possible to initially pull it on the wire and glue it into the frame, but they're small and they will hold well after drying. Now, and so I think. Now we will bend at the beginning because this place has dried up. Which way are we going to bend? It is regarding the framework. Since the leaf sticks out separately, you need to bend it in the other direction. Now we will try. You can try in different directions. Now I will bend a little here. Let's make a little bend like this. Look, everything must be done carefully so as not to break. So, too many already. So, it turned out to bend towards the branch. Such a small one. In principle, let it stay. Now at this place where the bend turned out, here and here, probably, we will attach small such processes. Now we will deal with this. How do we make them? So, I take a small piece of clay. I make this sausage. We will glue the sausage at the beginning. I will flatten the base of the sausage a little, as if I will make a flat surface. Apparently, probably. Is it? Here's one. Why is this done? To stick to the branch better. Now I take the place where I'm going to glue. I grease with glue. And I begin to apply this sausage. Carefully. Smooth the joints with your fingers. Here we have it. Here's what happens. So, now we lengthen it a little. We make it a little thinner than it was. Don't be afraid to do this. The main thing is not to break so that it does not stretch, become too thin. It will fall off if you hook it, of course. So, what are we doing now? Here's the sausage turned out. I take a napkin now. And now we carry out the same manipulations that we did with the branch very carefully with a napkin. As if we press lightly. Since this is just clay without wire, we do it very carefully. We try not to flatten it too much. Carefully. Everything is done with the fingers. As you feel. To keep the sausage in shape. The shape of this branch. So, it turned out to be even more rumpled. Good. Now, what will I do? Again, we will put on such tweezers. Here. You can do it at the very beginning. Let's create the effect of the bark of a branch that branched off to the side. Also here. We got it so wrinkled. This is the docking point. So now I will turn so that it is better to see. So, then when we tint it darker. So, on this side, pin it. So, shape it. You feel that it already looks like a twig, more natural, which means that it is already enough. Here, it seems, is already such an interesting effect. Here. You can still paste a leaf here, the really small one. like a bud. We'll see now. What else can you do again? You can also make a branch in this direction. What for will I make buds? To create a more realistic twig effect. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, because this is such a job, so to speak, with little things with this one. I like it when there are more realistic moments. Therefore, I will do one more. I'll attach it to this side. Let's see what happens. Here I take a smaller piece. That must be a very small process. Now let's see in which direction. If we make it here, in principle it will be fine. So, I rolled out the sausage. I flatten it. It's harder to get there. It was necessary to do it initially on this thread, but since it was not clear how it would look on the branch itself. This is being done already in the process. Almost at the very end. Again, I'm gluing. Here. Now we need to press down gently with fingers so as not to damage any other flowers. So, I will try now how it will hold up. So, where it is impossible to crawl, it is better to go with a stack, for example. I have these places. I can't even crawl my fingers. And again, what do we need to do? We must go through with a napkin. I tear off the napkin, a small piece, because the big one definitely won't crawl. And I begin to press gently. Yes, it's hard to crawl here, that's for sure. I decided to make an additional effect for myself. I'd rather do it with tweezers. It will be easier to create this cyan bark effect with tweezers. At the base, right here. Because if it is impossible to crawl, then it is better not to do it. On the back side. We will direct a little in the other direction and make a bud. As long as the clay is soft, then all this can be formed quite simply. You see, I formed a small tubercle with tweezers. So the main thing is not to overdo it in these dents. So, stretch it out slightly. We look at the reverse side. Since it is soft, it will be all in motion. Then it dries and it will be fine to stay, especially that all glued to the frame. Here. That's the way. Here's what happened. Additional. It could be down from this side, lowered down. Let it be with this one. Let it be on top. We formed. Next, we leave it all to dry, because all this is still in motion. Everything should dry well to hold up much better. We leave all this, and then we will tint.